This school-wide implementation plan deals with the intervention strategy of behavior contracts. Throughout this presentation, you will learn more information about behavior contracts, how to implement them, and why they are effective. We are here today to talk about the Great Opportunities Career Services and Day Program for adults with significant disabilities. Let's give a little background information on what we currently are seeing. This day program focuses primarily on recreation and leisure activities, and the career services focuses on job training and placement. Job training is offered through community-based employment as well as sheltered workshops. Currently, there are 200 adults with disabilities serviced in the program, and these include those with both intellectual and physical disabilities as well as autism. The program employs 75 staff members consisting of therapists, teachers, job and life coaches, speech therapists, 10 assistants, 1 BCBA, 4 RBTs, and a psychologist. This program has been cited for not offering enough life skills acquisition and integrated community employment opportunities. And as we know, the state has mandated Great Opportunities Career Services and Day Program to increase opportunities for their clients to acquire necessary knowledge and life skills. Currently, 5 clients are integrated in the community employment, and 25 clients participate in the sheltered workshops. All day program clients are offered the opportunity to participate in a life skills class on Tuesdays, but as of right now, only about 20 clients participate on a regular basis. The program staff has told us that they utilize client preferences to maintain motivation and manage behaviors, but that the majority of clients select the recreational or employment program activities. After discussing our current scenario, it is very clear that we need to collaborate together to improve the current situation. In the scenario discussed, there are multiple issues going on with the school as a whole. There is an immense lack of attendance in life skills classes. Life skills classes are absolutely necessary in order to integrate the individuals that we serve into the community, and the intervention selected to address this scenario is the use of a behavior contract. For those that are not familiar, a behavior contract is a mutual agreement between two people which present goals, expectations, and consequences for the individual that the contract is intended to help.
Research supports the effectiveness of using a behavior contract to help individuals in a variety of school-related areas. Some of these areas can include homework performance, writing performance, on-task behavior, rule adherence, and truancy. In all of the studies previously referenced, behavior contracts were implemented and proved effective for all of the participants inside of the studies. Who can behavior contracts be used with? Studies support that behavior contracts can be effective with typically developing individuals, individuals with behavior disorders, individuals with ADHD, or individuals with autism.
The use of a behavior contract can be considered a Tier 3 intervention. This is appropriate at this level because an increase of attendance for life skills classes is needed. The behavior contract acts as an individual intervention and is tailored to the specific individual's reinforcers. For instance, the Center for PBIS states that, at this level, schools typically rely on formal assessments to determine a student's need and to develop an individualized support plan. Student plans often include goals related to both academics as well as behavior support. How to implement a behavior contract. First, you need to identify the behavior needing to be addressed. Then you want to operationally define the behavior. You want to identify the setting in which the behavior occurs, where the behavior contract will need to be implemented, and collect baseline data on the behavior across at least 3 days. The person implementing the contract and the client will discuss the behavior that needs to be addressed and create a behavior contract together that both parties agree to. The contract needs to have clear expectations, fair reinforcement, input from both sides, reasonable terms, appropriate phrasing, and confirmation from both sides.
In order for the school to implement behavior contracts, the materials are actually quite simple, which would make this a perfect selection as an intervention strategy. In order to implement a successful behavior contract, the materials that are needed are a computer, if it is applicable to the individual, paper, pencil, and the individual reinforcer for that specific person. So it could change over time. One day, an individual might be motivated by leadership opportunities, then the next day it could change, maybe be something more tangible. It is solely dependent on the individual what their reinforcer will be.
So this is an example of what a behavior contract looks like, and also like in the how it's formatted. So I've formatted this contract in a way so that way you can plug in the name of the adult participating in the contract and also like what they will earn as a reinforcer. So when you negotiate with the adult that's going the contract will be implemented on, like I said, you would just negotiate on what the terms of the contract should be, like what they will earn as a reinforcer, like what will cause them to not earn that reinforcer. But like I said, that is really, really up to like the way you negotiate the behavior contract with the adult. And this is the data collection sheet that we will be using while the behavior contract is in effect in order to track whether or not the adult you will be working with is coming to his life skills classes. Now, what it means to be present at the life skills class, that is something that you will negotiate and define in the behavior contract. So it's something that you're going to have to agree on with the adults. And whatever you decide to define it as, how you're going to fill out this data collection sheet, you're going to put their name, you're going to put the staff name, you're going to put the classroom, and then whichever date the behavior contract goes into effect, you're going to enter that in the column week 1, and then you're going to track whether or not they were present at class. Like, so yeah, a Y would mean that yes, they did go to class, and N would mean that they did not go to class. And then at the end, after the last data point is taken in week 10, what you're going to do is you're going to calculate the total number of times that they came to class, and then what you're going to do is you're going to figure out the percentage of class attended. So the way you do that is that you divide the number of times that they went to class over 10, which is the total number of classes, and you multiply that by 100, and that will give you the percentage of what classes they attended while the behavior contract is in effect.
All right. So, how do we know if a behavior contract is successful? The behavior contract is an intervention, and in order for it to be fully successful, there needs to be both an increase in the attendance to the program, and also that increase needs to be sustained throughout the entire duration of the program. Now, if the intervention only increased attendance for a brief period, but did not maintain that attendance rate higher than 5% until the end of the program, then the intervention was only partially successful. Also, there are different levels of success from most to least, and only the increase is going to count towards the success of that intervention. Here are the different levels of successes based in that increase in final attendance rate. So, if by the end of the program we saw an increase of 40% after the intervention, then that was a high level of success. If that increase fell between 20% to 40%, then that was a moderate level of success. And if that intervention fell between 5% to 20%, that was a low level of success. Finally, any increase that's lower than 5% is considered inconclusive. And some final tips for implementation of the behavior contracts. You need to make sure that the
Implementation of that behavior contract relies on positive reinforcement to increase behavior, that it's also detailed and clear, and includes elements and components of when, who, and how well. Again, to emphasize that detailed and clear. Also, we need to make sure that the behavior contracts clearly outline how frequent the client is to do a behavior or to what extent that behavior should occur or be performed.